And then once we did that and we were talking about this is what we're doing, other black families, began to approach us who were in, if not in similar situations, were in situations that mirrored sort of, the economic challenges, right? That our family was facing, and the challenges of property retention that our families were facing. And so it became clear in the weeks following our opening that there was something that the community was looking to us, to provide that we didn't initially think that we were going to provide, but we began to sort of position ourselves to figure out how to do it. Around that same time, of course, we had a neighbor that reported us for operating an illegal business out of a residential home. I talked about having to work with SDCI. So yeah, we had to do a whole change of master use permit, which is a long, complicated process. What we realized is that what they told us up front is you can continue to operate as long as you're going through this process, but there are no guarantees that at the end of the process that we're going to issue you your change of use permit, right? So, there's a big risk involved in committing, over a year and a half of actual sweat equity and financial resources and other things into this process for them, for someone to ultimately decide that this is not going to work and you guys are going to have to shut down, right? And that was the first signal that these things these kinds of solutions are not really supported by public policy, right? For community solutions. And that's when we begin to think about, okay, well, how are we, how can we, make the work that we're doing now beneficial for the folks that are approaching us, on the side and trying to figure out things for themselves. And so CASE21 is born out of that. It was born out of sort of an imagining of the possibilities of what we were doing at Wari and having that being replicated in at other black homes around the neighborhood. So the name Central Area Cultural Ecosystem, emerged out of that sort of imaginary process of looking forward 25 years in the future. If there were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 other properties operating in a similar capacity to how we are operating, providing community cultural benefit. What would that look like? What would that feel like? How does the community kind of grow and breathe? With that being a collective asset, and then sort of taking that imaginary process and then reverse engineering it back to the present and saying, how do we start? Where do we start with that? It was clear for us that one of the things that we would have to do is create a policy environment that was actually going to support that, right? And then ask the question, well, who needs to be a part of creating, that possibility from the ground up? And then for us, the most obvious answer was the other black homeowners, right? And so then, then we created CASE21 to really from the ground up begin to do several things. One, reach out to black homeowners and begin to, create a renewed sense of community for folks that are still living in the neighborhood. And there are lots of folks that are still in the neighborhood, but most of us live isolated lives, right? The institutions and all the things that used to bind us together as a community, a lot of those places are gone. And so people, if you're retired, you might do what you do at home, and you may go to church, your place of worship, but otherwise there aren't a lot of other ways for you to be connected with other folks who historically have been part of the black community in this neighborhood. So we wanted, one, to begin to recohere that sense of community amongst black homeowners, and then begin to really have those folks start to talk about, what are their challenges and needs and priorities, right? And then, use that as a springboard to start to talk about, how do we imagine different possibilities for ourselves in the future, right? So the work, so this is a picture of my parents, my grandparents. So this is my grandparents' generation. This is my grandfather on the far right, right there. And then there's, all the sisters, Nita, Birdie, Stella, Betty, Z, and, I'm sorry, Betty, Troy, and then on top, twins, Zorella and Stella. I think I had in this here, just, I wanted to talk about, the importance of families as an institutional anchor in our community, and how homes are center points, for those families, for the health of the families, right?